What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse General Zod from DC Rebirth. And so here we have General Zod posing out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually run through his accessories really fast. General Zod does come with 3 pairs of hands. We do get a pair of fists, we get a pair of grip hands, and we get a pair of style pose hands. General Zod also comes with the McFarlane display base, which we've seen with all the other figures, which that's standard at this point. Other than that, Zod doesn't come with anything else, so let's actually move on to his details. And so here we have a closer look at General Zod, and I think McFarlane has done a decent job with this figure. As far as the head goes, I don't think this is the best version of Zod's head that they could have gone with. In all honesty, this looks like Nom from the movies, and it really does look like Nom from the movies. I think what they should have done is given him a more sinister look to him, maybe an evil smirk, or even his teeth gritted in an angry expression, because this looks a little bit relaxed and calm. And yes, Zod is a very relaxed and calm character, but it also looks like Nom from the movies, so yeah, I do have to point that out. I do like the sculpt on it though. The hair, they did a really good job with it. Although one thing I do notice from the comics versus the figure itself is that he needs to have some gray in his hair. We don't have any graying anywhere on the figure's hair, and that is a little bit unfortunate. Another thing to note is how far his head comes off of his neck. You can see, I think ideally that is what it's supposed to look like, but then that always has Zod looking straight up, and yeah, it's just a little bit weird that he has so much room in the back of his head right here. I don't know why his neck wasn't sculpted a little bit thicker to accommodate that, or his head a little bit smaller, but his proportions are all over the place on this figure, and I do have to point that out. Zod has a really small head. I'm not gonna lie, his body is incredibly wide, and as wide as his body is, his head is very small and doesn't look like it fits on the body. As far as his body goes, I do like the armor that he is wearing. This is of course Zod's appearance in the DC Rebirth series, so it is a more modern take on Zod. It's not a classic take, which I'm perfectly okay with this. You can see they did a very good job of painting his armor. We have this really nice slate gray right here that's painted in a metallic color. We have some gold. The red Z on his chest looks really nice. Then we do have his, I'm going to guess these are Kryptonian rankings right here, because just look at how far back they go. And then we have another Z for Zod right here, which does look really nice. Really fine detail here on the cape. I like the way it just drapes right here in the center as a cape like this would. And then we do have it flowing down all the way, which is very nice, and it is very well textured. I do like that. Just looking at that texture, it is very well done, and that's one thing I do have to credit McFarlane. Texturing, there is a lot of texturing on this figure, and I really do like it. From the armor here, where you can see a bunch of nice little details, some plating here on his chest. We do have his giant pauldrons, which you can see more detailed. It does look like his pauldron is layered, and it is pretty much the same on this side. It is just covered up by his cape. But yeah, we do have 2 really giant pauldrons, which, as you would imagine, these will hinder articulation a little bit along with his cape, but we'll get into that later. We do have his bicep armor right here, which is layered underneath that, so I do like that. We have his undersuit, then we go on to his gauntlets right here, which again have a lot of nice detail. You can see how it's layered right here. All those rivets look really cool. One thing I will point out is that he has really small hands, like even compared to one of the latest Superman releases. Like, this is his open hand. Zod's hands are very small. I don't know why McFarlane sculpted them that small. That is ridiculously undersized. But yeah, it is gonna be quite noticeable, especially with how big his gauntlets are. And then he has these tiny little fists, which it's very off-putting. Then we do have his undersuit right here, which I do like the sculpt work on it. The triangular pattern is very well done, very clean. going all the way around. You can see just how much texturing is actually on this figure, and I really do like the work that McFarlane put in on it. Even here on the legs, going down to his greaves where we have his knee pads, which are done in two-tone. We have silver and gold, looking really good. Then we do have his greaves right here, and just like you would expect, there's details everywhere. Just look at right here, this pattern on the calves. Then we have above the calves, which have a really nice pattern to them. Just overall gorgeous looking piece, even down to his boots. Zod here looks very nice. I am very happy with the way he came out. Now, another thing to point out, and I didn't notice this on the promotional images, are he has really long arms. If he were to actually have arms this long, they would be a little bit lanky. With the open hands, his hands come down to about mid-thigh, which that is very long in terms of limbs. His arms should be a little bit shorter. I think right there would have been a good length, but no, they actually come even further. So yeah, his proportions a little bit awkward, but it's still a very nice looking figure. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get Zod compared to other figures you may have in your collection. Here we have General Zod posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have General Zod posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have General Zod posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And finally, here we do have General Zod posed next to the McFarlane Action Comics 1000 Superman. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually move on to General Zod's articulation. Now, Zod does have a double ball joint in the head, which he has some really good range. I do like it. He does look up very nicely, can look down, can tilt his head side to side very well, and I do like the range he gets on it. It does turn left and right very well, and like I said, it has some pretty good range, just a little bit undersized, and I can't get over how bad that looks. His shoulders are on ball sockets, and they do pivot back, they do pivot forward a little bit, they do pivot up and down, and unfortunately they don't go out to the side as well as you'd think, because one, they do have to overcome this big pauldron, and it's on both sides. Now, they can go up a little bit, but you can't get them all the way horizontal. You can see, you can try, but the cape and the pauldrons just work against each other, so you really can't get too much movement. As far as all the way around goes, yeah, he can still go all the way around with his arm. You just gotta get it untangled and everything, because it does get caught in the cape this side, and not so much. It has enough freedom to go all the way around without butting into itself. The pauldrons here are sculpted onto the shoulder, so when you rotate his bicep, it doesn't rotate with it, which I think that was a smart choice, seeing as how big this pauldron is. We do have a double bend here at the elbow, giving us 90 or better than 90 degrees, as you can see. Then we do have a swivel hinge here at the wrist, which does provide some up and down movement, some in and out as well as rotation. Then we do have a ball joint here in his torso, which does crunch forward about that far. Let's see, crunches back about that far. We have a second ball joint here, which that's about as good as General Zod gets. He doesn't get anything better, unfortunately, but going back, yeah, it's so much better. Then we do have rotation at both those joints. We can pivot to the side very nicely. Going onto his hips, they do go out to the side all the way, not all hindered by anything. They do kick forward to about right there, kick back. Very little thigh swivel, if any, so I'm going to say no thigh swivel. Double bend at the knee, going to about that far back, which is perfectly fine. His ankle part right here is a softer rubber, so it does get out of the way when moving his hinge, so it does pivot up and down. We can rotate that to give him a true rocker ankle, as well as forward facing pin, followed by a very generous toe hinge. So overall, General Zod here has some pretty respectable articulation. It is hindered in some areas, but it does function if you actually try. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get the general pose for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have General Zod pose and for my final thoughts, and overall I think this is a really nice figure that McFarlane has made. Yes, it's not the perfect figure and he does have some awkward proportions, especially with his head being so small, his hands being very undersized, and his arms being a little bit too long, but overall I still think this is a very well done figure. His detailing is very good, the paint apps are very clean, and even though I'm not particularly fond of this head sculpt, I still like it in a sense. I just kind of wish that he had a more menacing look to him, or at least some graying in his hair like he has in the comics. Overall, I still think this is a very fine figure from McFarlane. I think the detailing is very good, and it's one of McFarlane's better outing in terms of detail. And the articulation, though a little bit hindered, it still functions, so you can still get it to move as you need it to. You just gotta fidget with the cape and those shoulder pads. Other than that, guys, I really do like the way McFarlane did General Zod, and going with the Rebirth design was a smart move, seeing as how it's a very toy aesthetic figure, meaning that if they were to make it into an action figure like here, it would look very nice, and as you can see, it looks very nice, and I am happy with it. If you are looking for a General Zod, he is starting to hit stores at the time I'm making this video, so if you're able to, go check out your local Walmarts, Targets, Walgreens, or you can get them online on sites like Amazon, Big Bad Toy Store, and Entertainment Earth. I picked up mine from Amazon for $19.99, which is a standard for McFarlane figures, and I'm perfectly fine with that. So if you're able to get General Zod and you're a fan of Superman, you're gonna need the Man of Steel's arch nemesis in your collection. With that being said, guys, I'm King of Dragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews as well as all my other DC Multiverse videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll gladly have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.